brand new bachelorette has joined The Last of Us. Meet Abby Anderson. She loves long walks across the aquarium, golfing with friends, and cocktails. Molotov cocktails, that is. She's looking for a fun guy she can click with and Oh, I am now being informed that she is indeed looking for fun guy and clickers. So not a hot date. That makes so much more sense. Hi friends! Last year, HBO's hit series The Last of Us took the world by storm. Pedro Pascal Nation, let me hear you scream. Now, we're starting to receive big news for the next season. They're announcing directors for episodes, new characters, and my personal favorite, casting updates. Legendary actress Catherine O'Hara will be joining the cast as a brand new character named Gale. Young Manzina will be playing the role of Jessie. The role of Dina will be played by Isabella Merced of the live-action Dora the Explorer movie, and also Madame Web. He was studying spiders in the Amazon with my mother right before she died. But the news update that has me absolutely mind blown is that Kaitlyn Dever is going to be playing Abby. I am shocked, I am enthralled, I am thrilled. I think this is such a brilliant casting decision, and it's something that I really need to deep dive and geek out about, so that's what we're gonna do today. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Kat. I really like musicals. If you really like musicals, hit subscribe to join the musical theater internet cult. We're way nicer than the Seraphites, promise. No sacrifices, just tap dancing. Lots of tap dancing. Thank you to Backstage for sponsoring this video. We'll hear more from them later. Question of the day, what are you most looking forward to in season 2 of The Last of Us? Any predictions or thoughts, favorite parts you're looking forward to? Let me know in the comments down below. So I'm not gonna purposefully spoil anything from the video games or the TV show, but we're going to be discussing characters and plot points, so it just might come up. So if you want to be fully surprised, mute the video when the screen goes black and white. That's how you know that this is your spoiler alert warning. And then you can come back. Okay, so you guys know that I'm a big musical theater nerd. But what you might not know is that I'm also a big video game nerd. I love The Last of Us, but The Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece. My fiance Tim and I, in between the second to last episode and the last episode, we replayed the entirety of The Last of Us Part 2. We also played the DLC with Riley, where you're in the Colorado Mall and you spend a lot of time hiding in what's clearly an off-brand American Girl doll store. It's a combat game, it's a strategy game, but at its core, really, I feel like the video game is just used as a device to create this immersive, interactive storytelling. Some of the best acting I've seen of late has been in video games. Did anyone else play Spider-Man 2 and just ugly cry? It's really more like an immersive, interactive movie. And I think that's a big part of why The Last of Us is so good and why it's been adapted so well. Before we get into that, let's take a moment to learn about today's sponsor. Thank you to Backstage for sponsoring today's video. Backstage has been a longtime favorite here on the channel, and that's because Backstage is an excellent way to book your next audition. You can find casting calls for different projects, submit self-tapes, find local auditions, and so much more. It's something I recommend for both newer actors and working actors alike, because my favorite thing about Backstage is that it's for everyone, from student filmmakers all the way to networks like NBC, Disney, and Netflix. I've used it to cast projects and to find auditions. It's incredibly user-friendly and very easy to navigate. Plus, they even have a mobile app, so you can apply to casting calls on the go from your phone. You can even apply to casting calls worldwide. You can easily narrow down auditions and filter through casting calls by things like age, gender identity, location, production type. That way you can easily find auditions that fit you. And they created a fantastic deal for us, so if you've been wanting to try Backstage, now's the time. You can get your first month of Backstage for only $5. Click the link in the description box below or use code CAT5. This also includes digital access to their magazine, which is full of interviews, advice from casting directors, tons of phenomenal info for aspiring actors. So click the link below or use code CAT5 to get your first month of Backstage for only $5. Thank you again to Backstage for sponsoring this segment. And now, back to the video. Okay, so if you don't know, season 1 of The Last of Us was the entirety of game 1. We now know that the second game is actually going to be split up across multiple seasons, which I actually think is a phenomenal idea. I'm a big hater of the two-parter. I feel like a lot of movies don't need to be 2 parts. I'm so glad that they're gonna do it for The Last of Us though, because this game is such an odyssey. There are so many characters and so much info, so much world building. building. I'm glad that they're breaking it up so that we get to spend a significant amount of time in each chapter and really explore the world. Again, I think one of the best things that they did in the TV show was expanding the Nick Offerman episode. That episode wasn't in the video game. His character exists, but you only briefly interact with him. Having a whole episode dedicated to his backstory was, I think, one of the best hours of television this past year. That I ugly cried to. For those of you who have played the game, personally, I think this season, we're not even gonna get to Yara and Lev. I think they're gonna stop it before we even get into that storyline. And I'm really hoping that they're able to bring back Jeffrey Wright to play Isaac. He played Isaac in the video game, and I'd love to see him way more utilized in the TV show. He's such a brilliant actor. I love him so much. Like I said, the biggest piece of casting news and what I've been geeking out about nonstop has got to be the announcement that Abby Anderson is gonna be played by Kaitlyn Dever. You know and love her from Booksmart, Dope Sick, No One Will Save You, and of course the cinematic masterpiece known as Dear Evan Hansen. I'm so excited for so many reasons. I think Kaitlyn is such a phenomenal actor. Like, I think she's really special and really engaging. She's one of my favorite people to watch right now. I was really nervous to see who they were gonna get as Abby because she's going to have to carry probably entire episodes. You need someone who can stand toe-to-toe with Bella and Pedro. I can't wait to see Kaitlyn's take on this role. And Abby is such a fascinating, interesting character. Like, I'd love to do an entire character analysis video on just her. We also have an official character description of Abby for the show. Abby is a skilled soldier whose black and white view of the world is challenged as she seeks vengeance for those she loved. Sounds very Javert to me.
Les Miserables.
But here's the thing. For those of you who might not be into video games, casting Abby was always going to be a major challenge. And for several reasons. Because Abby is a very controversial, very divisive character. She was massively disliked when the game first came out. There was so much backlash, and some of it was warranted, a lot of it wasn't. But I think overall, it is going to be an immensely difficult task to get the audience to like Abby. And Kaitlyn Dever is so likable that you want to like her, you want to follow her. She's a heroine. So I wonder if people will be more apt and open to Abby's story being told through someone who's likable. But the other big chunk of this is that so much of the outrage over Abby's character was really just due to her physical appearance. So it was just classic misogynistic comments about her like not being feminine enough or not being hot enough because she looks like a human woman and not a Bratz doll. And I get it. If I was trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, I don't think I'd look for medicine or food or water. I'd really just focus on being hot. Like I'm just so hot. Also a bunch of homophobia, transphobia, just all the bigoted comments. But long story short, Abby's body type is central to the story. She's strong, tall, big. She's a formidable opponent. You know, you don't want to mess with her. And casting wise, I think that this would have been a great opportunity to have an actress with that body type play that role, because it's so infrequent that we get to see different body types in a leading lady role. And Abby having a muscular physique is a huge part of her character. It's part of the gameplay. Like, Abby uses her brute strength as her weapon. Ellie is faster, but Abby is stronger. It's a big part of the storyline. Her muscles also serve as a visual representation of her obsession with revenge and her resentment. She turned her body into a weapon, into a killing machine. I don't think that Abby necessarily needs to be like buff, but I would like to see like some of her athleticism or her strength visually, just because symbolically what it means. I also think they chose to make Abby more petite so that she's a more similar stature to Bella, who plays Ellie. Because it wouldn't be a fair fight to see Ellie versus, I don't know, Ronda Rousey. Canonically in the video game, Ellie is 5'5", Abby is 5'8". However, in real life, Kaitlyn Dever is 5'2", and Bella Ramsey is 5 foot flat. So yeah, I don't think you could have a little 5-foot Bella Ramsey fighting a UFC champion. Like, it's not gonna happen. However, I think there's one massive major reason that they cast Kaitlyn Dever, and I think it's so smart and subversive, and that's why I'm obsessed with it. So Neil Druckmann, who created The Last of Us, also created another popular video game franchise called Uncharted. Kaitlyn Dever is in the Uncharted series. She's in Uncharted 4, she plays Cassie Drake. So when they very first first tried to adapt The Last of Us, at one point it was going to be a movie, Kaitlyn Dever was the frontrunner to play Ellie. Maisie Williams was also in talks at one point. This was during the Game of Thrones era. But the fact that Kaitlyn was almost Ellie and now she's Abby, I think serves to really reinforce just how similar these two characters are. Because deep down, Ellie is like Abby in so many ways, and now visually, they look similar too. So they're really driving home the fact that they are two sides of the same coin, two versions of the same story. Because to me, Abby represents a potential path for Ellie, a potential glimpse into her future. If she allows herself to be consumed by resentment and hate and revenge, she will become just like Abby. So it's like she's looking at a mirror image of herself. Both view themselves as lone wolves. Both of them are in the middle of love triangles that are complicated by unplanned pregnancies. They force each other to experience the exact same hurt, like very an eye for an eye. You kill my dad, I go for yours. You kill all my friends, I kill yours. And it makes you realize that every action you've taken has an equal and opposite reaction. It gives every previous kill that you've had to do in the game so much perspective as you realize that these aren't just NPCs, like these were people. As you meet more characters and you figure out their motives, it becomes a very gray area because Abby doesn't see herself as the villain. She's the hero in her own story. So I think that is such a cool casting move, and I think it really echoes another subversive smart casting move that The Last of Us has already made. When they brought Melanie Lynskey in as the brand new character Kathleen, I thought that was so cool how they played against type, that Melanie Lynskey is charming, quirky, she's like your cool teacher or your mom or your best friend's mom. And having her play like a cutthroat, hardened mastermind was so good. I'm wondering if they're gonna do the same thing with Catherine O'Hara, that they're going to take like her quirky, kooky aunt persona and use that to the opposite? I don't know. Or maybe to endear us to her. This guess is completely out of nowhere, but if I had to guess, I'm gonna say that she's like part of the WLF and maybe like a parental figure to Abby. But those are just some of my thoughts. I wanna hear from you. What do you think about The Last of Us? What do you think about all these casting updates and announcements? What are you looking forward to? What are your thoughts on Abby and the casting of Kaitlyn Dever? I wanna hear it all, so let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here, hit subscribe, join the musical theater internet cult. Again, huge thank you to Backstage for sponsoring this video. I hope you're having a great day. I love you so, so much. Break a leg, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!